hurricanes, immigration, jobs and hate crimes. Here are the stories that got Americans talking in 2017. Trevion Allen was crowned prom king. CreditZackary Canepari for the New York TimesFor students at Flint Northwestern High School. This year's prom was a chance to set aside anxieties about Flint's 3-year-old water crisis, its poverty and its gun violence. A Texas morgue holds 212. Boss of people who trying to cross the border. Credit CreditZackary for the New York Times. Over 16 years, the Border Patrol documented 6,023 deaths in the 4 states bordering Mexico, more than from the September 11 attacks and Hurricane Katrina combined. A truck stop at Effingham, Ill. Credit CreditZackary for the New York Times. President Trump ignited a national discussion of blue-collar jobs. Truck driving, once a road to the middle class, is now low-paying, grinding, unhealthy work. We talked with drivers about why they do it. Gwen Beatty in James Sutter's classroom at Wellston High School in Ohio, where she and Mr. Sutter butted heads over the issue of human-caused climate change. Credit Mad McGarvey for the New York Times. New teachers' efforts to educate teenagers in Ohio coal country ran up against a cultural resistance to evidence of the human role in global warming. On a nightstand, IDs, personal items and a photograph of the couple. Credit Alyssa Shukar for the New York Times. Srinivas Kuchibhotla's death in an anti-immigrant attack at a Kansas bar made headlines the world over. Now his wife, Sunayana Damala, tells her story. Fidel Delgado is led away by immigration and customs enforcement officers. Credit Melissa Little for the New York Times. A day in the field with immigration enforcers in California, a state hostile to President Trump's efforts to step up deportations. Hisham Yassin in the office of his used car business. Credit Ethan Tate for the New York Times. Abraham never fit in. Hisham finally felt at home. Then their worlds collided in western Arkansas. A 41st Rescue Squadron team prepared to hoist down from a helicopter during a search and rescue mission. Credit Christopher Lee for the New York Times. In the week that followed Hurricane Harvey's landfall, photographers on the ground in Texas and Louisiana documented the staggering aftermath. Lyndon B. Johnson Hospital in Houston, where Wilma Jean Ellis, after being rescued twice, arrived in a body bag. Credit Brian Thomas for the New York Times. A Houston great-grandmother was put on a rescue boat. That much is known, but how she got off, was rescued a second time and then ended up in the morgue is one of Hurricane Harvey's mysteries. Anita Maria Quillen, Chief Executive of Diversified Engineering and Plastics, in Jackson, Mich. Credit Sim Hodgson for the New York Times. A Michigan auto parts company has transformed itself and made money, but its chief finds herself caught between demands to lower costs and lift wages. San Juan, PR, a week after Hurricane Maria. Credit Victor J. Blue for the New York Times. A team of New York Times reporters and photographers spent 24 hours with people trying to survive the catastrophe that Hurricane Maria left behind in Puerto Rico. Dr. Thomas Andrew, the chief medical examiner of New Hampshire, retired last month. Boss from overdose deaths have overwhelmed medical examiners across the country. Credit Todd Heisler, the New York Times. It has completely overwhelmed us. Dr. Thomas A. Andrew said of the opioid crisis. His new ambition ministered to the living about the dangers of drugs. Gath and Tiffany Sahib, the owners of Dar Salaam, an Iraqi restaurant in Portland, Oregon. Credit Amanda Lucier for the New York Times. After a Marine attacked an Iraqi restaurant in Portland, Oregon, his family said he was provoked by trauma, not hate, and that he needed help, not jail time. Shannon Mulcahy outside her home in Whitestown, Ind. Credit photographs by Alyssa Shukar for the New York Times. Workers like Shannon Mulcahy took pride in their jobs at the Rexnord factory in Indianapolis. The bearings they made were top-notch. In the end, it didn't matter. A memorial to the victims of the Las Vegas shooting. Much attention has gone to those killed, but injured survivors face a special burden. Credit John Locker. Associated Press. Kim Gervais and 2 friends went to hear country. Then the gunfire began. She was gravely injured. One of her friends died and one survived. "You're going to see a lot of folks out here running from something," said a man who identified himself only as Sonny. Credit Mike Bellamy for the New York Times. Walmart's practice of letting people populate many of its parking lots has made the retail giant's stores a reliable destination and place where an informal culture emerges before and after dark.